Welcome back to another edition of Elevate Your Grind, brought to you by the Cannabis Lab. I am your host, Todd Rosales, and welcome back to our second week of December. We are getting into the holidays. We're in that fun time between Thanksgiving and Christmas where you got to work, you don't want to work, you think you should be working, other people aren't working. It's a crazy time of year. Throw COVID on top of it. Nobody knows who they are, what they're doing, where they are. To me, it still feels like March. But thank you for hanging in with us this year. Thank you for hanging on to this podcast. We're coming up next month in January on our 1-year anniversary. And one of these days we have our 100th episode. I'm not sure which one it is. I should probably pay closer attention to that. It might be this one. I'll go back and count. Who knows? This could be 98. This could be 100. It could be 101. We'll figure it out. We've got 3 shows for you this week. We've got an awesome little show for you today. I've got one of my good friends on the show. I will let you know who that is in just a little bit. Tomorrow, who do we have tomorrow? I want to say tomorrow is Jeremy Gutveg from Vitacan. And then on Thursday, we've got Tom Gerbenstein from Tikkun Olam. So it's very much, at least if you're in the state of Florida, a Vitacan week. Really excited to talk to them. We do not know, or let me correct that. I don't know that much about Vitacan here in the state of Florida. So I'm very excited to talk to both of our guests this week. Next week, we have Gia Kubrick from Incredibles. And then we also have Rebecca Allison from Certera. Really excited to talk to them. And we've got, listen, folks, for some reason, they let me in charge of my own scheduling for this show. And every week I say, okay, 1 show a week. And then we do 1 show a week. And I say, okay, 2 shows a week. And now we're doing 3 shows a week for the rest of the year, probably into January. And we're booked through February, folks. So we're going to keep doing this for you at least for the next year. But I'm excited because you know what? Not only do I get to sit and talk to a friend on this episode, but I get to sit and talk to a friend that's probably throwing one of the most badass cannabis events of the year. Now, I know what you're saying to me, Todd. Hey, Todd, there's COVID going on. We got to wear masks. We can't have cannabis events. We can't get together. We can't do all this stuff. Well, you are wrong. There is a way that we can do it. My guest today is going to tell you how we're going to do it. So please welcome the CEO of Innovation Properties Worldwide. I always forget the name of your parent company, but also the editor-in-chief of Cannabis and Tech Today and Residential Tech Today, my good friend and somebody who's busting his ass to make this the best conference you will attend all year, Charles Warner. Charles, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, buddy. That intro was seriously, it's like I paid you or something.
I mean, you know, you didn't pay me. You just gave me some speaking spots, which are more than enough for me to be compensated, but it's crazy, dude. So it's funny. I was talking to somebody, I don't want to throw names out here, but I was talking to somebody who just recently attended a virtual conference of one of the biggest conferences we have all year. And they said, long story short, it was lackluster. And then one of the guys in my office was funny enough. He goes, you know, it'd be really cool if they had this virtual conference where you can like create your avatar and walk around the conference floor and everything else like that. And it just so happened because I am as vain as I am looking at my wonderful picture on your website. I go, oh, you mean like this conference, the Emerge conference? So,
right?
Exactly.
I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure why more virtual events haven't thought of this or thought of this concept. Maybe they thought it was too gimmicky. You know what I mean? And everybody's kind of just trying to play it safe. And this is no disrespect to any other virtual events because we support them all, man. We love them. You know, we promote them, we attend them, I speak at them. So virtual events, we know they're like a necessity right now. But even the really, really big ones, you know, like in the tech world, like CES, like some of these other ones, none of them have a platform that is, you know, virtual reality, immersive, 3D, create your character, go in there, exchange business cards and all that stuff. And I wonder why that is. I don't know. I probably should know, but I don't know.
I don't know either. And I mean, you know, we did this at C-Lab too. And obviously our crowds at the C-Lab event are a few hundred folks compared to the few thousand you get at Emerge. So we figured out ways to use breakout rooms and Zoom and everything else like that. But it's impossible to do that on the conference level, right? We are a membership organization. We all kind of know each other. We're comfortable with each other. So it's very easy to do. But to your point, a lot of us, and I think it's funny, we're all realizing this about ourselves now, we go to conferences to network. And the education piece is awesome, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like how I went through college. I just kind of picked and choose the class that I thought would be beneficial to me, and I skipped the rest of them, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, your conference at Emerge, having this component brings back that chance of meeting people randomly, which is the number one thing that you go to a conference for. So I commend you on that. I mean, this is your second emerge. So obviously the first one had to do pretty well.
Yeah, and I can't take the credit for this because there were a lot of
I'm
people
giving it to
behind
you.
the scenes, that were involved with Emerge. And it was I mean, honestly, I probably would have picked another one of these flat two-dimensional, type things, but Andre Bork, he was our a co-founder of this event, and he was like, "No, man, we need avatars." So we went to Belgium and we got this platform called Hyperfair, and we're the only ones in North America that are using it, for an event like this. But I had people say after the last Emerge, they said, "Yeah, I saw this person at Emerge." They're like, "I haven't seen him in a long time, and I saw him at Emerge." And to me, that was really cool because we had 15,000 business cards exchanged at the first Emerge and over 9,000 conversations. So one of our biggest goals was reconnect people. People are pent up. People are tired of not getting out there and seeing their friends and not getting out there and, doing that networking. And we just felt like this platform, with really good partners and with really good content, would just be maybe a better solution.
It is a better solution. I'm gonna be honest. I was probably in that group of people at the beginning, being like, "Ugh, I'm not gonna walk around a virtual conference floor and do all that," and I was wrong. But you guys put on a great show, and I mean, even to the point where I read an article. I don't know if this was intended to happen, but people hacked the platform to be able to show themselves smoking. Was that
Yeah.
intended?
No, man, that's the cannabis industry. These people are resourceful. They are rebellious. And yeah, if they're going to find any glitch in the matrix, I mean, if there's one to be found, they found it and they figured out how to get under the escalators. Cause remember, Emerge takes place in this like virtual world. It's like you
Yeah.
teleport in, it's like on a platform out in the middle of Tahiti, and you teleport in and then you can just walk around, go wherever you want. And they figured out how to get under the escalators. And then there's a feature in this platform where you can talk to people. So your microphone is hooked up and theirs is hooked up. And so they all got together and they had a virtual smoke session under the escalators. And then they were all talking about it. Hey, meet us tomorrow under the escalators on Twitter and stuff. So it became kind of a thing that the cool kids were doing. And we even told the platform's engineers about it. And they were like, how did they do that? And I was like, they're cannabis people, man. They break the law. They're smart. They're good. And it was just kind of funny. It even got turned into a meme, that it was like,
Yeah.
hey, 420, meet us under the escalators.
That's hilarious, man. Well, I'm really looking forward to the conference. So, your team reached out to me and asked me to host a panel on both beverages and edibles. So, somehow I became the alternative consumption method guy. But I'm really excited about this because, I look at when I look at myself, and maybe I don't know if this is helping the conference or just talking about myself, but I am so down the middle of just, I like to smoke joints. That's my delivery mechanism. There are all these other products I talk about. I interview people, but like I haven't found another preferred delivery mechanism. But I'm so obsessed with it because I look at the cannabis industry as a whole, and you have the people like the ones that would hack the platform and do the smoke session that just come from the traditional consumer. But part of our goal, my goal, your goal, advocates, everybody who supports this, is to bring the general public and bring a wider audience to the cannabis space, which is why I really like even though I don't consume them, I'm not a personal consumer of it, the edibles path and the beverages path, because now the next time you're at an Emerge conference, right? And if we can ever do these in person, or if regular conferences come back around, you and I are professional conference attenders, you know, you're not going to have a whole bunch of people burning on the conference floor, but people enjoying a cannabis drink or having an edible and just kind of microdosing. It is a lot more appropriate. It's a lot more acceptable. Not that cannabis in a smokable form isn't. It's just, I always say that this country has worked so hard to take physical smoke out of public places. They're not
Yeah.
in a rush to put it back in. So I'm really excited for the panels that you put together for me to host. The tracks are amazing. You've got some great speakers that I'm looking forward to. Just to cherry pick some of my favorites: Ricardo Baca, Peter Vogel, some guy named Charles Warner. I'm not sure who he is. Me, of course. Cody Sanchez, Cynthia Salarazeta, Emily Paxia, Erica Daniels. Like these are all people I've had on my show. They're some of my favorite people to talk to, and I can't wait. I know you've even got some great keynotes lined up in the form of David Crosby and Julian Marley. So, I mean, are we going to have a concert too here?
Dude, we might. And there's a couple. I am sworn to secrecy, and this is going to sound like a big tease. But we have some really, really, really cool people that we can't announce yet, but they're like iconic people that are going to be there at the event. They're going to be talking about business. They're going to be talking about their brand, but they're also going to be in avatar form walking around with us, which is pretty darn exciting. So I can't spill the beans yet, but in the next day or two, we will. But there's a show called, did you ever see the show called Wilfred?
Yes.
The Elijah
The
Wood
dog.
and the dog,
Yeah.
right? The dog. Well, that's Jason Gann, Australian comedian and actor. He's got a line of, ironically enough, CBD pet treats. Come on for the dog. And he's got pre-rolls, and he's going to be here. He's going to be talking about his line of Wilfred. And so he's going to be there. We've got, let me just take a look here. We've got Weed and Grub. They are back as our hosts and MCs. Those guys are super duper awesome. We got a lot of those really smart people you've seen around, Cody Sanchez, Chris Day, Alice Moon, Jeff Trotter, Ricardo Baca. It's a pretty, I agree with you. I thought our first Emerge had the best lineup. This is really, really good. And our theme, we got two themes: health and wellness and business. So we even have the NCIA has come on as a partner, because we got a lot of really good business content. So yeah, we've got them there. Just a couple others real quick. We have the Veterans Cannabis Coalition. I'm a veteran. So they are going to be receiving a portion of the proceeds for the tickets. And there's a movie out called Unprescribed. I encourage everyone to check it out. Super powerful, moving. We do a roundtable with the director of that, Steve Elmore. And then our party got bigger. The USA CBD Expo was going to have their event in Chicago. That's not happening because of COVID. So they have an entire pavilion here. So it's Emerge and the USA CBD Expo and the Clio Awards. So the Cannabis Clios are giving out their awards, kind of a big deal. The beautiful gold trophies you've seen, it's all happening at Emerge. So it's a big badass end of year cannabis party where you can party like an avatar.
So, I won't call it out by name, but that big end of the year blowout conference we all attend, I mean, Emerge is turning into the real virtual version of that you're having feeder events around your event now in a virtual manner, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, with looking at the lineup, the only thing that would shock me at this point is if you had Joe Rogan come on to talk about his new Killcliff drink. If you pulled that off, I'd be floored.
Dude,
I quit my job and have my resume on your desk tomorrow.
But bro, have you tried elk? No, bro, have you tried CBD elk?
Just get Brent Pella to play him instead.
Yeah. No, man, I'm really excited. And honestly, it's the Cannabis and Tech Today team that puts this on, but it's all of our partners, it's our Christy, our event director, like I said, our our founder. God. It's really a big team effort. And we just wanted this to be like a community event. So dude, I'm happy to have you, man. By the way, I got to give you a quick shout out before we're done here. You are one of the most consistent guys as far as putting out content and being out there and being consistent all the time. I got to give you props for that, because not everybody, in your position is like that. And you are just consistently, man, you're just cranking out content, and you guys have been for a long time, and kudos to you. Some people put stuff out and then they stop and they take a little break or whatever. We can always count on you having good content, good topics. And I just want to give you props, even during a pandemic, bro. You're freaking consistent.
Well, thank you very much, man. That means a lot to me. It's funny, Robert and I look at what we've done here, and I've got a team behind me too. It's a small team. It's Robert Friedman, Evan Bopp, and myself. We've got a group text that I probably talk to more than anybody else in my life. It's all pretty much terrible jokes and about the show. But it's funny. I talked about this when I was doing the introduction. Every we go through a run and I'll do 3 shows a week, 4 shows a week. I mean, I remember there was one week when I was transferring jobs from my old job to Spring Big that I did like 8 shows. We recorded 4 and did 4 live in a week. And I keep saying, I got to cut back on the amount of shows. I work 40, 50, 60 hours a week in a day job. And then I come home and I do this after I put my daughter to bed. But I love it. We have such a great industry and there's so many amazing people in it. And, half of them are speaking at your conference that I don't even realize half the time that I'm doing a show. Like right now, I wish I could turn my camera. I mean, I'm literally sitting at the desk in my office playing with a joint roller of all things, talking to my friend Chuck, who you were actually one of the last people I saw before we got locked down when I was out in Denver. And then came home, lockdown happened. But you know what, man? I love doing this. I love doing this every day. I get to talk to amazing people. I get to have great conversations. I mean, last week, to promote our show a little bit, I got to sit down with Jessica Billingsley of Akerna and literally just question her, deep dive on her entrepreneurial journey, because she's someone who amazes me, who went from a startup founder to the CEO and chairperson of a publicly traded massive technology company focused on the cannabis industry. I just kept asking her, like, how'd you know when to hire new executives? How'd you know when to do this? How'd you know when to do that? And I'm like, I said at one point, I go, I'm sure you're getting tired of these questions. I don't care what the audience wants to know. This is what I want to know. So, I appreciate those kind of words, but as long as I get to have conversations like that with really cool people, I will continue to do this. And, myself at EYG and of course, Cannabis Lab as a whole, we're big supporters of Emerge. And as long as you guys keep doing that, we're here to support you and help wherever we can. But I don't think people also realize, like, C-Lab puts on phenomenal panels on its own outside of EYG. I get a ton of credit for this, but the board at C-Lab and Robert and everybody else, after Emerge, you guys are looking for a little bit of your panel fix here and there going through, come check out joinclab.com. We are partners with the Emerge conference and we'd love to have you. And shout out to your team, Christy. I think her last name's Doherty. Could be. Yep. Christy is the absolute best. If she wasn't working for you, I would 100% steal her just to schedule my podcast, because she does not drop the ball on anything. She makes my life totally easy. All my stupid comments that I have about the content of the panel, she's like, that's a really good point, and takes it to heart. So your team has been amazing, man, dude. You were one of the first people
awesome,
that I met.
Dude. She's gonna probably take my job one day. I guarantee you, dude. She's gonna be like, hey, Chuck, go ahead and bring your jacket.
Yeah.
No, she's amazing. And it is a really, really good team. It's just, yeah, man, we're excited. Honestly, it's like throwing a big party and just trying to get the band back together.
No, 100%, dude. I'm really pumped for it. So you talked about the was it Veterans Cannabis Coalition. I'm really excited about that. I know that you've really wanted to support veterans, getting them involved with cannabis for a long time, considering you are one. What was the name of that movie you had mentioned, and what platforms is it on? Because that's something I want to check out for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so I'll be talking with Eric, the founder of the Veterans Cannabis Coalition, and also Steve, the director. But it's called Unprescribed. And it's basically you can find it on, let's see, I think it's on Amazon. It's on Hulu. If you Google it, you'll be able to find the different streaming platforms. But if you like documentaries, I kind of geek out on documentaries. Yeah, it's pretty powerful, and it just talks about how we send these soldiers, to war, and they get torn up by war. We patch them up, put them back together, and then we bring them back here. And a lot of times we end up giving them, drugs to deal with their conditions, to deal with their pain, PTSD, whatever. And sometimes the side effects on those drugs are suicide. I mean, think about it. We have 22 veterans a day that commit suicide, and we're giving them, pills from the VA that sometimes the side effect is suicide. So the whole idea is that as an alternative, cannabis and CBD is helping a lot of veterans, but unfortunately it's not available to them all, or some of them, they're worried about losing their federal benefits. So it's just to me, it's really close to home. It's a smart, common sense kind of thing. And hopefully we can get some more exposure for it, because this is a time where, a lot of things are changing, but it's called Unprescribed.
Unprescribed. Definitely everybody check that out. There's a ton of interest for me. So I spent some time consulting for an advertising technology company that was founded by veterans. And the CEO is one of the greatest people I ever worked for. And I remember him telling me that he preferred to use cannabis for everything that was going on with him, PTSD and everything else, because it was just safer. It was easier for him. He felt better. It wasn't like all these opiates and everything else that you get put on, these antidepressants and everything else that everybody is just okay with because some big pharmaceutical company decided that it was okay, right? And because cannabis is a plant that has traditionally been sold out of people's backpacks for the past 100 years, that's not okay. I mean, I think we should be at a point in time where the government should allow veterans to sign up for a trial program. I mean, not to use them as guinea pigs because you and I know that it's going to help them, but at least let the federal government do some kind of study that proves that we're right,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, again, it's a common sense thing. It's just like legalizing, it's good for the economy, there's so many reasons for it. And the reasons against it it's the straw man argument. So I really think that this is a really cool topic, and each emerge, keep coming back. We'll have different social impact partners. We'll have different sponsors. We'll have different themes. So we're trying to keep it fresh, not do the same thing all the time. Even these shirts, I got these really nice Emerge shirts. That I'll tell you what, anybody who's listening now, if you go and just follow us on social media, follow Emerge, we'll go and take a look at it afterwards. We'll give some of these shirts away. But they're Wounded Warrior Project, like $1 for each of these shirts go to them.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's like a recycled thing. So yeah, man, I mean, these are good causes. It's smart. It's a nice way to combine a cause with the networking that goes along with it and the learning. So yeah, man, I think we got a good thing going, and we sure do appreciate your support.
I had an idea. I mean, I don't have contacts there, but I would love to figure out a way for the next conference to get Black Rifle Coffee involved. I love those guys.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a great one.
Yeah. Black Rifle Coffee would be great. I have a box of their Keurig pods in my office at work. Dude, those guys are great. And I think they're supporters of the cause as well, too.
Do you do that Bulletproof Coffee? Do you do that where you like put a stick of butter in there and you blend it up and you drink it?
I did it one time. I made it. And it was, don't get me wrong, it was absolutely incredible. But I just did not feel healthy drinking buttered coffee with everything else I put on my body. If I was still eating clean and working out, like when I was getting married, I would probably do it. But it's just something when you put half a stick of butter and blend it into your coffee, it feels a little weird. Have you done that one?
Yeah. So my buddy Josh, he's a firefighter out in Vashon Island. And I came out there, to check it out, and took the ferry over there and everything. And I got to go hang out in the firehouse with all the dudes. And he was like, "Hey man, you want some coffee?" And these are tough guys. So of course they're doing the bulletproof thing. I watched him just drop that in there. And I was like, I've heard about this. I guess we're going to do this. And, it was good, but it feels weird. We used to argue about eggs, is the yolk healthy? Is this healthy? What do we do? And now it's like, throw a stick of butter in and put that in your coffee.
It does taste butter. It was a stick of butter and coconut oil, MCT oil. And
but it's grass-fed butter, dude. That's what makes it different.
Yeah, grass-fed butter. That was funniest along those lines. I think, she was on the Hoban Minute. I don't know if you guys have talked to her yet, but Shadi Ramey, she's a cook, and she came out with the first full hemp cookbook, which is actually printed on hemp paper. So I got the bright idea to do a cooking episode of Elevate Your Grind. So I set up my little webcam in the kitchen. I set my cell phone up over the stove, and it was really cool. We cooked some hemp-based apple crumble, but I was looking through a recipe, and it's a vegan cookbook, and it's like vegan this, grass-fed that, and I'm just like, she's like, "All right, go take your grass-fed butter." I'm like, "Yep, this is 100% grass-fed." It might be margarine. So I felt so bad. I didn't have any of the right ingredients, but we were still doing the show.
Dude, who was that you said? What was her name?
Shadi Ramey, SHADIRAMEY.
Okay. I was just checking to see if she's one of our speakers, because we have a bunch of, that have to do with like cooking. We even got some that have to do with like pet CBD. It's a really kind of diverse lineup. So I think, we got some cool topics here for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you've got, I know Dr. Sandra Carrillo. She's awesome from the medical standpoint. Scott Jennings, talk about whole foods, right? Scott is the CEO of Pantry with the all natural edibles. They won't put any of the dyes or anything else like that in there. Shada Tarabi has the Let's Be Blunt podcast. I do not listen to many other cannabis podcasts, including my own, by that matter. Shada is awesome, and I got to meet her. I don't know about you, but have you noticed they have this like weird I told her this. I go, you have an imposter cannabis industry in Texas. Like you guys have such a burgeoning CBD industry
Yeah.
because cannabis isn't legal. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Yeah. Weird things are happening down there though. You know what I mean? I think Texas is starting to, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say it's totally, going to change, but I think we used to have a debate. Who's going to be the last state to legalize? If it doesn't go federal, who's going to be the last state? And we would all talk about this and we're like, would it be Utah? No, they've got medical, right?
Yeah.
Would it be Idaho? Would it be Texas? What would it be, like Alabama? Like who's going to be the last state to legalize? I don't think it'll be Texas. I think you got a lot of smart people down there. And I think that Texas will, hop on board the train.
I agree with that statement. I mean, I think Texas, I would like to think with the mass exodus of California that hopefully
Yeah.
they're getting the best parts of California and, that being the cannabis industry. I make the joke, right, that with my friends, they talk about federal legalization. I go, you know what? At this point, it's legal enough for me. You got New Jersey legalized. So if I go to Manhattan, I can take the train. Colorado, California, most of the West Coast, and my home state of Florida is legalized. So I'm like, once they legalize Texas, I'm good. They can stop. I don't need it to go any further. So that's how I feel right now. Obviously, I joke,
Well, how
but
about
it's
Mexico? How about Mexico, man? That's three times the size. I think three times the size. The market of Canada. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, I was just in Cabo, and imagine Cabo with cannabis. I mean, it just the food, the weather, the people.
it
I
all
think it's a smart move, man. I could be biased, but it seems like a smart move.
Mexican food is some of my favorite food on the planet. I love going to the beaches in Mexico. Adding cannabis to that only makes it better, which is crazy because I'm really interested to see what happens with the cartels down there. Do the cartels just go straight and they're like, oh, we have a legal business now? Essentially Colombia tried to do this back in the day with cocaine, but I'm really excited to see what happens with Mexico. Our crime rate's going to drop. Is the economy going to flourish? It's honestly going to be an amazing case study for the rest of South America, I think.
Do you think they cut them in somehow? Like, I mean, there's already kind of a decentralized, central government in Mexico. There's a tad bit of corruption, and we know there's some cartels to make this whole thing work, to create this panacea of awesomeness. Do they cut in the cartels and just, find a way to coexist, let them be part of the legal business?
I would imagine, listen, this is pure speculation based
Right.
on
This is just a
no,
couple guys talking.
just based on no actual expert knowledge whatsoever about Mexico or the politics there. But I'd imagine, considering the cartels have a considerable amount of power and money, that they needed to be involved somehow. But also at the end of the day, they're the experts. Like I
They got
hate saying
skills.
that about, yeah, I hate saying that about a criminal organization, but they're the experts. They grow it, they distribute it. All they have to do is just be legal now, and then Mexico taxes it. And I mean, I would hate to say that's how I'd legalize. I mean, anybody who is a murderer, I'd like to throw in jail. But for the most
Yeah.
part, a lot of the low level people that are growing and processing, and distributing, it's just the best job they can get. So it's gonna be. That's why I don't want to say excited because I don't want to say I'm excited to see criminals go straight, but I'm excited to see what happens in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited and not excited here. So as you know, and being in the cannabis industry, right? I feel like when the general public gets some of the news that we get, they're a lot more excited about us. So obviously the House of Representatives passed the MORE Act, and all my friends are sending it to me. And I don't get alerts on this shit anyway, but they're sending me the MORE Act and like, you got to be excited about this. And I'm just like, I've seen this before. I've seen some kind of legislation come up, get to the Senate and get shot down, right?
It's like
So,
Charlie
I don't know.
Brown kicking the football. You know what I mean? Like it's like Charlie Brown running up to kick that football. And then they always, Lucy always pulls it away at the last minute.
But do you feel that way too? Like people outside the industry are like so excited, they think it's going to happen, and you're just sitting there like, yeah, I'm just going to wait patiently because I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, just because, like it doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell in the Senate. So, it's going to, I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's a breakthrough, but I think a
Yeah.
lot of us that are in here, we're just a little bit, we know there's still a few more hills to climb.
Yeah, it's funny. I make the joke with my buddy yesterday. We were talking that it's It's almost a little bit of a burden being knowledgeable on the cannabis industry and the cannabis space because you have a technology background as I do. So I remember when I would take like my laptop into, Best Buy or the Apple store and someone would try to tell you what was wrong with it. And you're just like, "Ah, that's not what's wrong with it. This is what's wrong with it." Well, how do you know? Well, because I spent 10 years building $1 million IT systems. That's why. So when you get into cannabis, something that you enjoy as like a pastime, and then you go into a store and someone's trying to lead you into a product that you may not be familiar with, and you're like, no, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and they try to tell you why you're wrong about that, and you're like, well, I've been in this space for X amount of years, and based on what I like to do, it's funny. That's like the only negative side of the cannabis space. When I go purchase cannabis, it's like I feel like I have to justify my purchases to the bud tender who feels like he's the more educated person in the conversation.
Hey, and did you mention you don't like edibles? Or that's
Not
just
that I don't
not
like.
your thing?
I don't use a ton of edibles. Me and my buddy Ryan, I remember, if you remember Ryan Michaels, we used to joke that the way that we smoke, not only do we like cannabis, but we're also addicted to taking deep breaths,
Mhm.
right? The
Mhm.
process of smoking, the meditative part of it. I don't mind edibles, but back before the legal days, I've had my experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. I mean, I think everybody's different. I see people post online that, 10 milligrams of an edible is nothing, that they need like 150 milligrams, 200 milligrams. And I'm like, what the hell? Like I'm one of those, like a half an edible, 5 milligrams. And I'm pretty chill. Like I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel nice. I feel, creative, everything like that. But I think that has to do with just we're all different. We're all wired different, and it affects us all different. But yeah, no, I find edibles are very civilized. Like you said, you can be anywhere. You just have a little gummy, or something like that. It's just very chill. It's hard to bust out a doobie at some
So,
place. You're a kid's recital, and you just bust out the doobie. That's frowned
well,
upon.
you're a coast to coast flyer like myself, having roots in Washington and Tampa and Denver. That is my arena for edibles. So anytime I go
Mhm.
out to California, and I'm going to plug somebody here because I love these guys. Anytime I go out to California, I've got to get Big Pete's treats. Their peanut butter cookies are legit, and I bring those, and those are strictly for the plane. But I will say on that note, like, I don't know why a 10 milligram edible is not a 10 milligram edible from brand to brand and from state to state. Like there are some edibles where I need 30 milligrams, and there are some where 10 just knocks me out. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see where it goes. But on the other note, the beverage space, which you guys have in Colorado, is
Mhm.
extremely exciting to me. So there's a company, I think they're out of California. They just launched in Nevada and I think Colorado, called Can. I'm
Okay.
so excited to try their products. Have you tried that one yet?
No, no, but I will.
Okay. You're going to have to go get
I
a six
I
pack of Can
I
and let
think
me know.
the beverage market, what's really cool about that is, think of it as somebody that doesn't normally drink, but they go to the bar and they're there with their friends or whatever, and they have a cocktail, right?
That's
It's
me.
it's a nice, easy way for someone to try a little bit of cannabis without, having to pull out the 12-footer. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to, it's just very, very chill. And it's also, you're not putting on a show, when you're doing it or whatever. You're not blowing smoke rings. You're just sipping on a beverage. And I think it's definitely a big growing area for sure.
Well, to me, that's going. I think that's the future of cannabis consumption, at least in public places, right? So I
Mhm.
had on the podcast last week, in addition to Jessica, I got to interview someone. She was co-founder of the hospitality group. Her name's Sarah Stewart, and she did a showcase event for her company because they consult on consumption lounges, and she used to be a manager at the OG Cannabis Cafe, but she did an all cannabis bar. So it looked just like a bar in any event, typical catering bar. And then on the top left-hand corner, it had all the
Ah.
beverages up there. And she had probably 6, 7, 8 different cannabis beverages, from 100 milligram shots all the way
Mhm.
to the 5 milligram can, right? So no matter where you are on the spectrum of a cannabis consumer, there was something there for you. Now, because it was her and her friends that are smoking too, but she was basically showcasing how you can have a cannabis consumption event without any flower whatsoever. And, as weird as that is to the traditional cannabis consumer, that to me is the future, right? Even though I don't agree with it, it's not my preferable way of consuming. To me, that is 100% the future. I'm actually looking, I got to follow up with Chrissy. We might be adding her business partner to my panel because I'm very last minute like that.
Dude, you're getting me excited for your panel.
That's the whole point of having you on the show, is only for my
Right?
panels. I mean,
Right?
listen, folks, if you're watching this and, obviously Charles and I have gone off the rails and just got into our own personal conversations here, but check out the Emerge conference, emergecanna.com. Tickets are $10. I mean, $10. What else are you going to spend $10 on? You probably just spent $10 on something stupid on Amazon just now. Spend it on 90 days worth of educational material. And then even if you wanted to go and get the VIP membership, which gets you the physical copies of Cannabis and Tech Today. I don't have one. I usually have my Ricky Williams signed copy right here, but that's $40. You're never going to get that much information for that much money. Go check it out. Go sign up for the conference.
Bag. You get a virtual swag bag. All the sponsors will put something in. Some are going to put brochures, and that's not as exciting, but some will put some goodies in there. And like you said, it's 90 days. You got 90 days to go in the platform. Learn. If you miss the sessions, you can go back in and catch them. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good value. When we announce the special person, the ticket prices are going to go up.
Oh, so everybody go ahead and buy tickets now because the special person is going to be worth it. Yeah. You get to meet me in virtual me. Yeah. Virtual me is going to have more hair and less fat. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, no, this is going to be great, man. I'm super excited. And like I said, go follow us on Emerge. We'll give away some stuff as we're leading up to it. And yeah, dude, I think this is going to be a really cool show.
Cool, man. Well, I've taken up plenty of your time, and we actually have Colorado type weather here in Florida tonight. We're in the low 50s, high 40s here. So it is our one day of winter. So after we hang up here, I'm going to go out back. I'm going to enjoy some lovely cannabis, maybe some whiskey neat, because you do that when it's cold. But it's always a pleasure having you on the show, man. Let's plug Emerge one more time before we let you go. And then you can see me next week on the 15th and 16th at the Emerge conference. I think both my panels are between 10 and 11, but I will let Charles take us home.
Absolutely. Emerge December 15th, live at the platform. Make sure you be there. The only reason to not be there is if you're in jail. And if you're in jail, break out. Make sure you bring a friend. Come to Emerge. It's going to be awesome. Tickets are $10. emergecanna.com.
Folks, I do not talk highly about virtual conferences ever. This one is going to be awesome. I'm pumped for the lineup. Half my company, I work for Spring Big during the day, is already looking to attend. They all started registering today. So folks, go check it out. It's going to be an awesome conference. I'm really excited to see who those big names are going to be. Once I see them on the website, I'll definitely make an announcement on the show. Charles, I know you're doing this again in the spring. Of course, we're going to have you back on. If I ever start doing the lab report again, I'm going to bring you back in for that because we had a lot of fun doing that. And hey, man, it was great catching up with you.
Oh, shizzle. That was awesome, buddy. Thank you.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you. And thank you, everybody, again at home. This has been a quick episode of Elevate Your Grind. Please check us out at the Emerge Conference next week. Of course, we'll be back here tomorrow, Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. with Jeremy Gutvig of VitaCan. And then again on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. with Takuna Lam. Great episodes. Of course, check out our interviews with Jessica Billingsley, Sarah Stewart, Cree Robinson, and Louis Mancini, Sparky Rose, all great people. YouTube.com/elevateyourgrind. It's been another episode of Elevate Your Grind. We're out.